see and hear us here, just go ahead and leave us a comment, hit the like button or the heart button. We'll be paying attention to those comments as this is streaming live to the group. We do this every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you can see us and if you can hear us, just, say something in the chat, hit the like button, hit the heart button, just so that we are kind of like testing our audio, making sure everything's working here. You're live with John Evans, and we're here with a special guest today. I've got Audrey Brady. How do you say your last name, Audrey?
Brady.
Brady. Okay. I wasn't sure. I should have asked you before we started streaming, but Audrey Brady of Dance Mission is here. And we're going to be digging deep into how she was able to go from starting out with about 20 paying students to potentially starting the next season with up to 60 paying students during the off season, which is incredible. I'm excited to get into all of that. We're going to break down that story. It's very encouraging, very inspiring. But I know, there's probably a lot of dance studio owners that are in the same boat that Audrey was in. And so we just thought it would be a perfect story to share. So just leave us a comment. Let us know that you can hear us and see us as we're kind of ramping up here to get ready for this interview. And I will be reading the comments for feedback. Travis will probably be monitoring the comments as well. And maybe even Andrew or Colleen. Our whole group is going to be watching this interview because we're excited this year. So I do have a question for everybody that's listening before we get into Audrey's story. And I'm curious to know how many of you out there actually want to grow your studio. And probably most of you watching this want to grow your studio, right? But I wonder how many of you have been out there and relying on things like word of mouth or doing weekend events at the studio or hosting stuff like that, or maybe just posting Facebook posts and trying to share them into different Facebook groups. Maybe feeling stuck or frustrated, only getting 3-4 students in a season to sign up by doing that kind of stuff, and you're not really getting enough people in the door. So if you're ready for a change of that was basically Audrey's story before she found us. And so I'll let her share exactly how everything has impacted her school specifically. But for those of you watching or listening, I'd love for you to just go into the comments right now and just let us know what you've been frustrated with. And hopefully, this will be inspiring for you, but maybe even educational. We might be able to share some things that could help you actually get some people in the door, and stop struggling to fill the classes and stop struggling financially, and just to get to that point where you're comfortable with the number of students you have, and that you're confident that you have the ability and the skill set to grow it at will in the way that you want to. So let us know in the comments what you've done to grow your studio. Give us a list of things you tried. Sometimes I just love to hear the silly things that people do. We had one school owner who was dressed up as Kung Fu Panda and was out at events doing, there's all sorts of funny things that we've heard people doing. And so let us know what you've tried as we're getting kicked off here. And so Audrey, I want to turn it over to you right now. And, we're going to be officially celebrating how you were able to really triple the size of your school in the off season, which is super cool. We haven't actually confirmed that yet, but we're looking at that potential to be there. So just to be totally transparent with everybody, 20 students to start, looking at next season where we're probably going to be around 60. We won't know for sure till that starts, but we are excited to get your story out. And based on your experience, I'm sure, we're probably in that at least double to maybe triple size, which is awesome. So I'm excited to hear about how that feels later in the call. But if you would right now, just kind of introduce yourself, share some of your background, and then we'll dive into the interview after that. So just go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for having me. And I'm really excited to be a part of the Student Magnet. It has really helped my confidence, first of all, and has really helped my office manager's confidence, see how students can come in, and it's easy to get them registered now. So thank you guys so much for that. So my name is Audrey Brady, and I live in Mission, Texas, which is down by Mexico. And my dance background is pretty much from all over. I have been to boarding school. I went to college. I ended up in Russia for a little while. And so, right, to be on the border of Mexico with all of this background is really strange. I feel like I should be somewhere else, but this is where God has me. And I am thankful for that. It's actually where my husband was born and raised. And my family moved down here when I was about 8. And then I went all over the place from there. So it's been quite a journey. And I love teaching dance. It's what I was made to do.
Love it. How long has the studio been in business?
We've been open for about 6 years now.
Okay.
I guess technically I'm starting my 7th year right now this week.
Hey, awesome. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So when you first started, before getting on board with the Student Magnet, how many students? What was the student count?
I had 20 paying students because
20.
we all do a little bit of that barter system in the beginning and all of
Sure.
that. So I had 20 paying students.
20 paying. And then how long were you stuck at 20? Like, did you get there fast and then stay, or tell me about that process to get to 20 and where you were?
COVID definitely undercut me quite a bit. I actually made it up to 50 students, and then COVID hit. And then when everybody else was reopening, I found out I was pregnant and with my third child. And the doctors were telling me, you can't be around people yet. So all of my students ended up at other studios because they wanted to be in person with their teachers. And I don't hold that against them. They should be. It's a much better and easier way to teach.
Yes.
And learn. So it has been like climbing up a very large mountain since reopening a couple of years ago. And I opened immediately with 20 students, and then we went back up, and then, off seasons. And so I've been stuck for pretty much since reopening.
Yeah. Okay. So like 3 years. Yeah.
Yes.
Got it. So, anybody in the comments know what that feels like? The COVID, the bomb that went off in 2020. Let me know in the comments if you took a hit during that season. So at that point, when we had the student magnet running, we probably had, if I had to guess, maybe 250 schools that we were working with throughout that process. Actually, no, I'm wrong. In 2020, we probably had maybe under 100 schools that we were working with at that point. And it was interesting to see how fast they all adapted to that virtual process. Because when everybody had to do it, you had no choice. And it was interesting to see. Our business at that point, just to give everybody some background, we had an agency where we just kind of did everything for the schools. And then the other half of our business was the coaching side, which is the student magnet, which is basically showing schools how to do it themselves. The agency clients, almost all of them were like, we need to pause. Let's take a break. We're not going to run ads. Let's just stop. But the coaching clients were like, all right, what do we do now? How can we do this? Can you show me how to use Zoom? It was a totally different mindset. And it just really kind of opened my eyes to like, wow, it's so much more powerful to like coach people on how to do things, because it changes the way you think about your business, as opposed to just having a service where you do stuff for them,
Absolutely. Right when COVID hit was when I started working with coaches and myself. So it was definitely a good choice on your part.
Well, it's kind of made for us, when all those agency clients were like, we need to pause. We're like, we just need to focus on coaching. And then that's it. We kind of wanted to get there eventually anyway. We weren't taking on new agency clients. But it was just like overnight, it was like, all right, we're all coaching now. We're no agency. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, this is not about us. This is about you. So you were getting students. What were you doing before you started working with us? What was your strategy on getting students and like marketing, promotion, that kind of stuff?
We were spinning our wheels. We were making Facebook posts. We had a group, and we still have a private group for our families, but we were trying to get people into the group and trying to cultivate relationships with those people. We were sharing our posts in other groups, mom groups or weekend activity groups. We were doing free weekend events just to try and get kids in. And then none of them would register. I think I maybe got one student out of 30 that showed up for free, right? So it was a lot of work with very minimal results, and it was exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you were doing that stuff, I'm curious, like, did you just come up with that stuff yourself, or did you learn that process from somebody else? How did you decide, like, this is how we're going to promote the school?
It was a little bit of something that I had learned from some other coaches that I worked with, but then of course I shaped it to be my own. And, but a lot of people were telling me that's not going to work in my area either. And then I kind of just dug in my heels. I was like, well, I'll show you, because this is what the experts say, right?
Right. And the experts were saying, post in the groups, do this stuff, and that's how you're going to grow your school and get the students. And it was a lot of work, and it was a really low payoff. So fast forward to like what you've been doing recently with us. Actually, let me back up. Did you run any paid ads? Were you spending money on advertisement, or was this all sweat equity, like time and organic?
I had done a few ads here and there. I never ran anything consistently. I would just kind of do maybe 3 or 4 weeks, 2 weeks, try and do some blips here and there.
Yeah.
And it was always about how can I get it in front of as many people as possible.
Mm.
I had never really tried the lead option in Facebook. All of the experts I was working with had me set it up for reach versus leads. And so it was, yeah, as soon as I started running ads based on the student magnet process, I have hundreds of leads at the moment.
Yeah. I was looking at your account. I was like, wow, you got a lot of leads in there for the short amount of time. How long has it been? Has it been a couple of months?
We started in April.
April.
In April. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, done great. So for those of you looking in kind of from the outside in, basically what we helped Audrey with is just a very specific and strategic approach, very much step-by-step process for getting people in the door. Essentially, if you want to simplify it down to the bare bones of what it does, we help you get people into the door on the floor. And from there, we give you some steps and processes on how to actually enroll them and make them, see the value of becoming a paying student. But Audrey's been just a great example of somebody who can just tap in, and it's not necessarily cookie cutter. I wouldn't say it's cookie cutter. It's very customizable, but the process and the strategy is sort of a framework that you can kind of put your own culture in, put your own spin on. And she's just been a great example of somebody who's able to follow the process. And obviously it shows because, tripling the size of your school in the off season is a pretty good feat. How long did it take you to get to 50 students from when you started to when you got there? Was it
2.5 years?
2.5 years. Got it. So basically did in a few months what you did in 2.5 years.
Yes.
The hard way, right?
Yeah, very hard way. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. So we'll get into a little bit more of that process in a second, but I think I know the answer to this question already. But when you were doing all that stuff before, comparing the hours worked for even if you don't even compare the results, were you spending more time promoting and advertising before than you do now?
Yes, absolutely.
And the results obviously speak for themselves. You're getting a lot more. So there you have it, guys. Anybody wondering, is this going to take a lot of time? I promise you, it's probably going to save you a ton of time from what you've already been doing. So very, very cool. Very exciting to hear about that stuff. So I'm curious, when you were spending money on the ads before, when you did those little like 3-week bursts or like the little kind of promotions or boosted posts and stuff, did you have a way to track, like a detailed way to measure the success of it? Or how were you determining whether it was successful or not?
I was very, very overwhelmed by everything that Facebook has in their app. What was it called back then? Ad manager. And now I guess it's still ad manager.
Still ad manager, yeah.
But it was so overwhelming because there are so many data points that you can track and follow. And basically, I was just paying attention to who's talking to me and then who's registering. And every once in a while, I would look at the number. How many people did this get in front of? And that was, of course, thousands of people. I live in a place where there's about 4 million people on the other side of the border and on our side. But when I think about those ads, I think I only ever got one paid student from those ads.
Wow.
And maybe 3 people talked to me. Versus now I have 300 leads from the off season from April to now, and 40 students that I expect to be registering.
Yeah. Pretty incredible. It's funny how, I think there's like this cloud of mystery around what is marketing and promotion for a dance studio. And, we've kind of made it our like no one knows how to measure it. I remember when I was at like a Christmas dinner one time and somebody's like, what do you do? And I was like, marketing. And they were like, oh, so what is that? It's like getting clients, basically. And I think that's like, if you could boil it down to like the very like simplest term, it's like, is the marketing getting students? If it's not, what is it doing? Like, what's the point? There's a lot of like weird information out there, I think, and I don't know why. I can't really, sometimes I just try and figure out, like, why would somebody think that reach matters if it's not enrolling students or engagement or any of that stuff? Like, there's a place for those types of things, but it's part of a way bigger process that's not necessary. It's way overcomplicated for a dance studio. I mean, sure, you can reach a lot more people, you can get cheaper clicks, you can get cheaper, but who cares if they're not turning into students, right? Yeah, great. Right. Your post went viral, you have 100,000 likes on it. How many students did you get from it? Big deal, right? And so that's what we just focus on, is like a process that's built specifically for just getting students. And so was there ever a time in the past where you were in the off season, enrolled potentially 40 students?
Never.
No. Love it.
Five tops.
5 tops. Yeah. And I'd say that's probably pretty average, for most studios that are just kind of doing what you were doing, is like, 5 is probably pretty good for some studios in the off season to be like, yeah, we grew by 5 students. Mm-hmm. But to grow by, 300% is pretty incredible. So it's awesome. I'm so happy to see that. So I'm curious now, I'd like to kind of jump back to when you first kind of discovered our group and discovered the Student Magnet. What was the thing that kind of tipped the scale for you and was like, you know what, you had a call with Travis, and probably a couple calls with Travis actually. And then decided, like, here, I want to give you my credit card. I want to join this program. Like, what was the thing that tipped you over the scale on that?
Well, I knew that marketing was where I was really weak, and no one out of the coaching programs I had done, none of them had worked for me. I wasn't able to, just click in, like you said. And I felt like I had to do way too much work. And so I knew that I was looking for a specific marketing program, coaching. And I think I ran into your group on I don't even remember, but it was like 48 hours from meeting you guys, getting on the phone and saying yes. It happened really fast because I already knew what I was looking for. And so that was helpful. I do have to be a little honest with you. My husband was a little upset because he didn't expect me to jump in so fast. I did my best to prepare him.
Right.
Sorry.
That's okay.
But he held on to that for a couple of weeks. So
how does he feel about it now?
Oh, he's so happy. But leading up to talking to you guys, we had been having the conversation of, how much longer can we be paying into this business before we ultimately have to cut our losses and go in a completely different direction, because we have 3 children of our own. Like I said, I got pregnant in the middle of COVID. And so we're looking at needing to build for our family, grow wealth and all of that, pay for college, etc. And he had given me the timeline of, if you cannot get in the black by December, then then I will give you the money to pay off your, well, not give me the money, but we have enough saved up to pay off the contract on your rental for the space and get out of that without leaving a bad taste in anyone's mouth. And you will have to go find a job somewhere else.
Yeah. I remember having thoughts and conversations like that in our own business at times. And anybody out there that can relate to that, let me know in the comments if you felt like, how much longer can I do this? And, that's really what's inspiring for me, is that you had that moment and then you made a choice pretty quickly within 48 hours to it's sort of like that last ditch effort, and it's interesting to me because sometimes we get on the phone with a studio owner who's in that position, same exact situation, but we can tell this is not a last ditch effort. This is let me prove to everybody that I tried everything I could and it still didn't work. And when we sense that, we won't enroll them. We'll just be like, you know what, this isn't going to work. Let's try. Why don't you go and look at this stuff, and we'll maybe send them some like personal development and some mindset stuff of like, here's how you fix this. Because the last thing we want, and the culture of the Student Magnet being inside of it, is like, we don't want someone in there who's going to be moping around and complaining that nothing works. Because when you first set some things up, I don't know if you had any issues. I don't remember many support tickets from you, but like when something doesn't work, if you're looking for a solution, it's easy to be a coach, you know, not that I want an easy job, but it's like, it's going to ruin it for all the people in there. Cause it's a group. It's not just me talking to Audrey or me talking to you. It's like, we're a group and we're a community. And so a lot of times, like somebody will have an issue like, hey, I tried this and this didn't work. And like 5 of the other members of the program will jump in and help each other out. And so that's the kind of mentality that we want to have. And so obviously we sense that with you being in that position and going like, I need to make this work and it's got to work and I'm going to do what I can to make it work. And when we see that, we know the process is going to work. Like you're the only variable of the process. So if you have that tenacity to do it, it works and it shows. Like we see the results. So I hope that everybody watching here has been inspired by this and is being inspired by this. Maybe you're like, you know what? Wow, this is awesome. And these success stories that we share are really meant to be inspiring because we know these are the kind of stories of dance studio owners who have implemented this a simple system. And literally anybody can do this. It's not a complicated process. We have made it so simple and just broken it straight down. What's your tech savvy level, Audrey? I don't even know. We probably should have discussed it a little bit. Are you kind of tech savvy, not tech savvy at all?
I know enough to get myself in trouble. My husband was on a production team for a church for a while. And so I understand that there are some people that have like auras about them when it comes to, and so anytime I just run into technical difficulties, I just have him like come stand next to me.
Yeah.
And the computer starts to magically work, right? So that's my technical ability is just
right.
come stand next to me. And I have put in a couple of tickets with you guys and they've always been responded to very quickly. And I really appreciate that. And so your step-by-step process makes it really helpful for those of us that just want to throw up our hands and say, I don't understand it. I don't get it. Looking at Ads Manager, like I already said, is bonkers and overwhelming. And your process has made it so easy.
Yeah, that's great. It's really good to hear because that's really what we designed it for, you know, and we've tested it over hundreds of schools. It's not like we're like trying to figure things out. We know I know personally, because I've worked personally with hundreds of school owners, like one-on-one, that the reason you open a dance studio is not because you're like a computer whiz, right? Usually, I've met a couple, but like the majority of studio owners are artistic and creative. And, the computer stuff is like, yeah, I know I need to do that, but I just don't want to. And so that's how we've designed the process, is really to just get right down to it. And you don't need to understand every little link and every little click in Facebook ads. Like, how many leads did you get? How much did you spend? And is that within what's going to be profitable? If not, here's the changes you make. And that's it. Like, it's very simplified, because that thing, I mean, even for me, I am a marketer. Like, I've studied that thing. And even me, I get in there and I'm like, this is like a dashboard of a 747, there's a lot in there that's unnecessary, especially for a local business. If you're like Netflix or Coca-Cola, there's a lot of that stuff you can use, and there's a lot of useful things in there to analyze all that stuff. But for a studio owner, it's like, how many leads did I get? What did I spend? That's really all you need to know. So I'm glad to hear that. Sometimes I'm so in it that it's good to just kind of hear that feedback coming through, that it's still a good process. And they change things so often, and we're updating the training so often that, sometimes there's a Q&A call and I'm like, oh, they changed it again. All right, time to update the training. So hopefully this has been insightful for people watching, to know that you don't have to be a tech wizard to be able to do this stuff. It's very, very simple. So I hope you've been inspired by this. I hope people watching have been inspired. And hopefully you're feeling that. If you are, how about let us know and type the word inspired in the comments right now. Show Audrey some love for being here. If you're on the replay, let us know that you've been inspired by this. But if you're watching live, let us know in the chat right now. Just type the word inspired. Ask us some questions. If you have some questions, we'd love to kind of jump into the comments there. I'm sure Travis is monitoring these and responding. So if you have specific questions, we'd love to get some answers for you on that. But Audrey, I'd love to know, this is a question I always love to ask. There was probably a moment in the process when you hit this realization, like, oh my gosh, like we figured this out. Like this is actually going to work. We don't have to shut the school down. We can grow, like whatever our goal is, we can hit it. Like, can you walk me through that moment and give me a little bit of like what the emotion was like for you when you had that? Was there a moment like that, or was it kind of a gradual thing? Walk me through some of that.
There was a moment. It actually happened really quickly, and it was triggered by my office manager, actually, because she came to me. We were probably 10 days into using the student magnet and having the ads out. And it's the beginning of May. Schools in my area are starting to wind down. And so families were trying to come up with things to do with their kids for summer, right? And I think there was one day where we ended up with 10 intros. 10
In a day.
In a day. Between 3 hours, we had 10 intros. And I know you suggest to not allow that many students in, but I was like, get it. I want to know how well this can work. And she came to me at the end of the day and she said, you can't do that to me again. This is going to work. And so we've calmed down since then. But yes, it was incredible to see that many people show up to try some dance. And not all of them registered because it was also, we're figuring out off season, right? We're going into the off season slump, but it was a really fun day for my brain to figure out how do I work through practicing recital pieces while having 3 new students in every single class in this day.
Yeah. Awesome. Great problems to have, but definitely it does cause like a little bit of like shuffling, and that's fun shuffling though. The shuffling I don't like doing is like, okay, I have this much in savings and I have this bill due. Like, let me shuffle that, much rather be shuffling the potential for income than, the other side of things. So great. Awesome. I wonder how many of you watching would just love to have 10 intros in one day show up at your school, or have the ability to create that, with a skill set, right? So pretty cool. Hopefully you're inspired. I love to see the word inspired in the comments. So thank you guys for typing in inspired as you're watching. Hopefully there's some mental shifts happening here right now. That's really, kind of the point of these interviews, is just to, first of all, inspire you, but also to give you some ideas of like, maybe you can do this. So go ahead and show us some love in the comments. Let us know. Maybe you're realizing you can do this too. It's a great thing to watch, Audrey. We're so proud of like all the success that you've had. And, it's really a testament to your hard work. We give you the process, and you just ran with it, which is great. Very cool. I'm excited because it's really just the beginning, right? I mean, we're not even a year into this. So for everybody who's inspired, this is what we do here. We help dance studio owners fill their classes with paying students. That's really our mission here. And we're not looking for like maybe you've heard the phrase Dolly Dinkle minded, get rich quick, do nothing, get paid type thing. That's not what we're after at all. We want to work with school owners who are passionate about serving the community, that have a great curriculum, that are doing what a good quality dance studio will do. So if that's you, what I would love to do right now is just invite you onto a 15-minute call. And to get that, all you have to do is type the word game in the comments right now. It's GAME. We call it a game plan because there's nothing for sale on this call. So the first call that we get on, we won't be talking about our product or our service or our coaching at all. So it's going to be all about you and your school, because we want to know what's going on. And it's really a good way for us to gauge, are you going to be a good fit? Because we're not interested in, our qualification for joining our program is not how much is the limit on your credit card. Like is this going to be a good success story for you? Because one day we want to see you on an interview like this. And so this call is the same call that Audrey went through. You probably remember it, Audrey. The first call is just like 5 to 15 minutes. We're going to ask you some questions. So if you're watching this, you're probably a dance studio owner, but if you're passionate about serving the community and you have a great curriculum and you want to grow your studio and you want to do it the same way that Audrey here has done it, we have some time open up on our calendars to book a free 15-minute game plan call. And really, we're just going to go over like a few key details. We're going to understand where you are. We'll talk about maybe some of the issues that you're running into. And then what we love to do is just kind of cast a really quick vision for what it would look like working with us directly. And so, if it seems like a mutual fit, we can set up another call to talk about what that looks like later. But really what we want to do right now is just kind of get on the phone with you and give you an actual game plan. The other thing you're going to walk away with on this call is like, here are the steps that you need in order to hit your goals. You have a goal to get here. This is what you have to do. And without talking to you, we can't prescribe that, right? Can you imagine like calling the doctor and being like, I have this problem, and the doctor being like, well, you need to do this, without examining you first and like looking at what might be wrong. Everyone's different. So that's what these game plans are for. It's really just a way for us to kind of diagnose what's going on. And sometimes we look at it and we're like, this is not something we can help you with, but here's a resource you can use. That happens quite a bit. What we want to give you is clarity, really. And so this call just allows us to see, if it's a good fit for you, but it also lets you kind of see, are these the kind of people I want to work with? I mean, you might get on the call and you might not like us. That's fine. I understand. I gave up on having everyone like me a long time ago. It's like, this is who I am. If you want to work with me, great. If not, that's great too. Like, it's better we figure that out before you pay us money than after, right? So we want to give you clarity on what it looks like specifically for your school. So for everybody who's watching here, if you are a dance studio owner and you want to dial in this process that Audrey has used to go from 20 paying students to potentially opening in the next season with triple that, just type the word game in the comments right now. We'll hook you up with that game plan call. It's totally free, and there's absolutely nothing for sale. You cannot buy. We've had people get on this call and be like, okay, that's it. Like, aren't you going to pitch me on your program? And we're like, no. We're not going to. You literally cannot buy on this call. I don't care what you say or do, you can't. So once we do that game plan call, then perhaps we'll have to see, but we don't know until we actually talk to you. So what'll happen is when you type the word game in the comments right now, it's GAME. We will reach out through Facebook Messenger. It's going to either it'll probably be somebody on our team. So Travis or Colleen or maybe Andrew or somebody on the team is going to reach out through Messenger and set up that call with you. And so if you want that, just type the word game in the comments right now, and we'll make sure we get you on the schedule in the next couple of days here. So back to you, Audrey. Thank you for your patience as I blabbed on for a minute. But I would love to hear from you just really quickly. What are you most excited about moving forward now that we're kind of at the beginning of things? Even though it feels like you've jumped over a giant mountain, it's really just the beginning. What are you most excited for looking forward at this point?
I am really excited in growing my students because I'm a big believer in communication. And one of my favorite things to teach them is how to be creative and communicate their creativity. And so that does require more students to be involved so that way they can actually learn how to work with people, right? So that's really what I'm most excited about, is working with my students and growing their ability to be communicative and to be humble and to be gracious with those around them.
I love that. That's great. What a good point. Like, you want to teach community, you want to teach communication, you want to teach people how to, that's obviously dance is there, but like there's those life skills that these students walk away with that are so valuable for the rest of their life. But you can't do that in an empty room. Like, you have to have that. You have to have people there. So what a great reason to have more students. I mean, obviously it's great for the revenue, it's great for the business, but there's always that deeper purpose. If you've read that book by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, oh my goodness, if you haven't, you should. But if you have, incredible. It really talks about human beings are just kind of wired to need meaning in their life. And so, business is great and fine and good, but if it's just for the dollars, that's probably the biggest problem in the world today, is that people have it backwards. They think that the world and culture is built for, the meaning of the world and culture is made for business, instead of the meaning of business is to grow culture. It's backwards. So I'm glad that you've got that screwed on tight and you've got it right there. So that's good. So awesome. I'm so appreciative of you sharing that. I can't wait to see you hit those goals. I'm excited to see what happens. Travis and I are just really happy and proud of all the success that you've had. And so it's beautiful to watch. It's great to see the impacts you're making. And again, it's just the beginning. So I want you to check in with us a year from now and see how far we've gotten. That's exciting for me too. Maybe we'll get you back on here and do an update. But thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for being here with us. I'm sure we have a bunch of people still watching on the live stream. So just so you guys are aware, Audrey is just one of many success stories from the Student Magnet program. At this point, we've helped hundreds of school owners enroll tens of thousands of paying students collectively. I quit counting because the number just got so high. It was like people just were like, really that many? So hundreds of schools, tens of thousands of students. It's a lot. It's proven. We've got it figured out. And really our vision is just to empower dance studio owners who are great at what they do to become known in the community. Because that's really what you want, right? You're already great at what you do. You just want to be known. And that's what we help you do. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, just type the word game in the comments right now. We'll reach out to see if you're a good fit. We're just going to ask you a couple questions, like what challenges you're running into, what problems you're facing. And then from there, we'll see if it's a good fit. If not, we might refer you to somebody else. But whatever it is, if you want those systems and processes and templates and the same kind of support and mentorship that Audrey has used to really triple the size of her school. And if you're considering working with us and you want to go through that same process that she's implemented in her dance studio, maybe you just have some questions. Maybe you're like, you know what? I don't even know. What do you guys even offer? Maybe you're wondering, I don't know if this is going to work in my area or if this is going to be the right thing for me or how it's going to work specifically in your school. Maybe you have things set up. Maybe you don't go seasonal. Maybe you're year round. There's a lot of different factors. And maybe you just want to look at what it would look like for your specific situation or just, what we can do to help. That's why we offer these game plan calls. It's, we open up the time on the calendar for the next few days and it's 15 minutes tops, nothing for sale. It's really just for diagnosing what's happening to see if it's a good fit. And maybe we even set you up with some homework to watch, a video or two, give you some resources, give you some next steps on getting started with us. But if you want that call, just type the word game right now in the comments. And we will make sure that we get that set up and we go from there. And so any final words, Audrey, before we wrap it up here? Anything else you'd like to add?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said support, because your team, you, Travis, the group are so supportful. Did I just make up a word? Supportive. There we go.
There you go. That's the one.
My caffeine this morning.
Yeah.
Yes. So supportive. And so you're not going to regret working with this group if you're a good fit. Obviously, that's a big point.
Love it. So I appreciate that. Well, I can't wait to see where you go in the next 12 months. It's very exciting for me. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us here. Everybody in the comments, if you would, this is my favorite part where you like to give Audrey a virtual round of applause for coming here. And the way you do that is you just hit the like button over and over again on a live stream. You do that, it sends this little burst of emojis up from the corner and it looks super cool. And it just kind of gives everybody an idea of hey, this was inspiring. So if you would just go ahead and just click that like button a few times or the heart button or whatever tickles your fancy, send up those emojis for us. Let us know in the comments if you were inspired. And if you're looking to work with us, just let us know. We'll get you in that game plan call just by typing the word game. And so as we wrap up here, just want to give you that final invitation. If you're looking for new dancers in the school, a way to grow your studio, or maybe you need to generate some more revenue, fill up your classes, whatever it is, in terms of promoting the school and getting students in, that's what we're experts in. Just type the word game in the comments and we will reach out, give you a ton of insight and value on that. See if you're a good fit, see if we're a good fit. And so the last time I'm going to say it, you can type the word game in the comments right now and we will go ahead and reach out. Thank you everyone for joining us so much. It's been absolutely a great time to have you here with us, sharing in Audrey's success. And I hope you got value out of this. I hope you enjoyed it. And that's all we've got for you today. So we will see you here next Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern in the group. Thanks for joining us, everybody.